You know, he wasn't huge, but I was gonna kill him. I just wasn't sure. But by the time I decided, I didn't have a shot. He snuck up behind me. I never even heard him. Literally immediately when I'm done talking and I put the camera away, about 7 does and what looked like a buck was chasing them behind my tree stand. I didn't have any shots. I thought maybe they would come into the woods, but they didn't. Seems like they ran that way. I doubt they'll come back. They're only 70 yards away. This time of year, all the deer are moving right here on the edge of this field and behind the tree stand, and that's where that buck was. I only had a few windows of a shot, and then he walked off. Maybe they'll come back, but I seriously doubt it. Well, that was cool. I swear, man, I can't catch a break. Buck behind me. Looked like a good buck. Looked like a really nice buck. He walked behind the stand, but wouldn't come directly behind the stand. He angled away into that field and just jetted. I don't know if he smelled where I walked in or what. I don't know. He looked like a nice buck. I couldn't even get the camera on him because it's so thick right here, but it's wide open right here. But he wouldn't come this way, even though every single deer walks right behind my stand. That buck didn't. I had a clear shot right here. And he just angles out and runs across the field. Dang it! As soon as I saw a body, I'm like, oh, I got a deer on the ground. What's going on, guys? It is about mid-December here in Indiana. Things are starting to slow down. Just shot a doe yesterday with my bow. Unfortunately, wasn't able to get that on video. Mick. It's a pretty crazy hunt. We hunted this private land in this thicket that we really don't usually hunt. And I don't think I've ever had this many does spot us. Now, we were behind an enormous log, and the only thing showing was this on the other side. And 60 yards away, these does picked us out and blew. I couldn't believe it. And another group of does came and saw the same thing, and the wind's in our face. I didn't know how much better we could hide. It was ridiculous. Finally, a big doe showed up, and as soon as she picked us out, I shot her and drilled her. Huge doe, 135-pound field dress doe, big doe. But we're back in another spot, and I've had a lot of luck here later in the season, in the past years, but really the bucks ain't moving out in the day, so I don't know if I'll shoot a doe. I may shoot a doe if I see it, but it's just a matter of getting lucky and hoping one steps out, so we'll see what happens. bunch of does just came out about 200 yards. They didn't stay in the field very long. They jetted to the other side. I never would have thought they would have came on the other side of the field. They usually come out in front of me. That's how it goes, especially this season. What's going on, guys? It is December 26th. No, 27th. And I'm in a new spot today on public land. I'm in a spot where during muzzleloader season I spooked a big buck 15 yards from me. I should have shot him, but it was so thick and the gun was around my shoulders. I wasn't able to turn and get on him in time. Someone shot him and wounded him. He's a tall rack, 10-pointer. At least that's what they said he was. He looked like an 8 to me, but big body buck. Well, 4 days later, it's late archery right now. I grabbed my climber. I'm about 20-25 feet up in a tree, right where he was bedded. It's supposed to be a great movement day today, so I'm gonna be quiet. Maybe we'll see him coming through. Hope he's still alive.
So unfortunately, as the season progressed, it kind of just more of the same. I can't tell you how many times I went in the tree stand and just did not see anything. Middle of December, the does especially all started grouping up and moving off into other food locations, mostly cut cornfields. At least where we hunted on private land, a lot of the deer just moved off. And even on public land, usually the places that we would hunt and see deer, they were just gone, and there was no hunting pressure, and it was something that we really couldn't understand why we weren't seeing deer. We've been spoiled for so long with all the deer that we were seeing the last couple of years, and because of that, we didn't really have any backup locations to go to. And this was a season that I had a lot of learning experience where I wanted to put a lot more tree stands, put a lot of tree stands closer to swamps and funnel areas, but because of the lack of cornfields and a lot of bean fields this year, a lot of the deer moved off, and we really just weren't seeing any. I mean, the whole month of December, almost after the first 2 weeks, it was completely dead. And when the regular season ended and we had to go to our private land in January, it was even worse because we were surrounded by cut bean fields. It was just one of those years we didn't have any cut cornfields, and all the deer moved off. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I went out and I didn't see anything. I think I went out 7 times and I saw no deer. I mean, like it was pretty bad. I would see them in cut cornfields all the time, but just the way it happened this year, I mean, it was a really bad year. From December, January. It was really good October, November, but as soon as that second week of December hit, the deer movement just nosedived. And January was no better. I mean, just absolutely nothing was happening in January for the most part. So it kind of sucks. You know, September was kind of one of our worst Septembers that we've hunted, and in the muzzleloader season was definitely one of the worst muzzleloader seasons we've ever hunted. And December, January were not much better. So this was definitely a very weird season. I'm glad I went through this season, though, because it taught me a lot of where to go and where not to go when deer move this way, because I've never seen deer move this way, especially on public land. We had even some turnip fields, but the deer weren't going to those turnip fields because they made them so close to parking lots. So none of the deer were going there until 2-3 o'clock in the morning. So it was a difficult season, and it kind of sucks that it just abruptly ends. I just didn't have any footage of anything. Would have just been me talking to myself in a tree, not seeing anything. So it was a great season, especially for my dad, but had super lows, but really high highs. I learned a lot. Recording, you lose so many opportunities to kill so many deer. I can't tell you how many does I could have shot, and Basil Buck came right behind me. Could have killed him, but wouldn't have gotten it on camera, and I didn't want that. But it was a fun season. It was a really fun season, and I can't wait for next year because, tell you what, I'm going to be putting twice as many tree stands up and a lot better locations. Hopefully, we get more cornfields. That's the big thing. We can't control that, obviously, what's put in the fields around us, but hopefully we get a lot more cornfields this year. But we're looking towards turkey season. We're probably going to have a podcast here pretty soon, just kind of covering the whole season as a whole, because so much happened that I couldn't really catch on camera and all that. So you'll be expecting a podcast here pretty soon. But yeah, this is the end of the season for us. We had a lot of fun, and we can't wait to get to you next this coming turkey season. So see you later, guys.